How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Like I just finished like a tour with DJ Shadow like 2 days ago. So like like I'm just like in London now, just like resting a little bit. So yeah, it feels pretty good to just like sleep more and take a break and so
yeah. Well, how long was that tour?
That tour was like 2 weeks, I think, or 3. 3 weeks. Yeah. And then we did also, it was just here in Europe. Yeah. And then we also did one in America, like January and February. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So you've been going out with him a little bit on and off.
Yeah. We started like with the one in America, and then they had like someone else doing the tour here in Europe, but they couldn't do last minute, so they just like asked if I wanted to do, and so now it's like really cool because like we kind of getting just to know each other more, and also the whole crew is amazing. So yeah, it feels just like a big group of friends just like going to the shows now instead of just being like more serious stuff. But yeah.
That's cool, man. That's
man.
It's got to be cool too, like touring with someone like Shadow, because that's got to be different from a lot of other tours you've been on. I mean, in a lot of ways, but totally, like that's not really an EDM tour,
No, man, it's very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, there's like so much ways to talk about it because like I've heard like. Yeah, Shadow, he's really showing me another way to communicate with the audience in a way that I feel like I haven't seen that way of communicating before through other DJs, and it's all good too. It's like not to say that there's like better ways or like worse ways to communicate, right? But I feel like we're going super deep into the conversation already.
Hey, no, I love it, man. We could dedefinitely do that.
No. I love it. Yeah. No, but so I think first, so first is like when I got when I got the invite to like join the tour of Shadow in America in January and February, like. My mind to just like make the set was like completely different from like to do a set for like other shows that I was doing back then. So because I knew that the audience was going to be a little bit older than like what I'm used to play. I think like usually I tend to play to people, that are teenagers or like 20s, like early 30s, So with Shadow, like Shadow's been around for, he's going to his like 4th decade on making music. So like I knew a lot of the crowd was going to be older, like, some people would be 60, some people would be 50. And it wouldn't be the type of show where, these things I understood later, but, I wanted to, I knew it wasn't going to be maybe like, oh, I'm going to play like, going to play a dubstep festival or something where everyone is going to be like headbang. No, it was going to be like a different experience, but like, I didn't know like how different it was going to be till I did like the first shows. And my idea to make the set was like, I wanted to like, I'm aware that like people, like you get into music and I think like you get like very into music like when you are a teenager. And then I think, usually from what I've been like seeing from different people's lives, like that's the time period where you get to consume like a lot of different music, like when you are a teenager, like early 20s. And then as you get older, like it's harder for you to like listen to so much different music as you listen when you were in that age. And that has a lot to do with the type of life that you take, but also I think it has a lot to do with the way your brain it works. So like I think usually people when they are like teenagers, like their neuroplasticity is more flexible and like just as a human being, right? And then like as you get older, it's like you get all these preconceived ideas and like you get like very used to like just the way that you think things are, and like you never really like change those things that much throughout your life. And I think usually I think the people that like end up having a more happier life are the people that tend to like change. Every couple of years they change the way they think and like they change the habits and stuff. So anyway, so like I knew that like a lot of people that would come to the shows to do the full circle. Like, yeah, like they might not be like very updated about like what's going on right now in my scene, you know, and they might have like, you know, listened to Shadow's music back then and listened to like the whole world of Planet Moo and Warp and like Ninja Tune and other record labels. But then they might have just like just not keep up with like much of the other stuff, right? So I was like, okay, so I want to do something that like still pays respect, like on my set, that still pays respect to those times, but like connect a little bit with what's going on right now in my own perspective, and in the middle, like just play my own stuff. So I did that, and then so that was my set. So I was like playing a lot of like MF Doom and J Dilla and like FX Twin and Burial and like stuff like that, but also like playing a lot of like my latest releases and like some like new stuff from Machine Drum or Carmack or just like other hip hop records that came out like recently, and like making that bridge. And and like I had this set that I was like, oh, I think this is like a really good set. And then like I went to play San Diego, was like our first show on the run in America, and like I played, bro, and no one like moved like the whole set, you know, right. And like it was like packed, and I was like, oh man, like maybe like I'm not the right opener for this show, because like no one is moving. But then I left the stage and I went to the crowd, and I had so many people come and talk to me and be like, oh man, like I love your set, like that was like amazing, like I like how you played this, how you mixed that, how you did this and that. And I was like, oh okay, like this is just like different, because like we are so used to see like how it's like if I go to like a festival, it's like or to a rave, it's like, you know that you're doing a good job the more people dance to, like the more people move to what you're playing, right? So it's like the more people are moving to something, oh, okay, maybe the set is through here. But then like when I played with Shadow, it was like it showed me another perspective that it's like, yeah, we don't need to be like moving all the time to like really appreciate like what's going on musically, like on stage, the performance. So yeah, and then you know, then just like seeing his show, like I saw his show a lot like during the tour, and like the way he talks, like his voice tone, like the respect that he has for the audience, you know. Sometimes like sometimes like I go to festivals and like, and even I used to do that a lot, like we just scream a lot at the audience. Yeah. Yo, what the fuck up? Like, put your hands up, let's fucking go, you guys, you know, and like we just curse a lot. And to see like, you know, just Shadow's energy on that, just like just the breaks that he takes between the words, and like the way he thinks before he says something, and like just the respect. I was just like, whoa, like things can be more than just like what I'm like used to, you know. So it has been like a big lesson, and I want to like, this is just one thing that I learned during the tour, but you know, but to reply to your answer to your question, it's like, yeah, like going with him is just so like he's very unique. So it's like what I'm learning with him, I won't be able to like learn with anyone else. But it's also like he's just showing me that, you know, there's other ways to do this in a way that sometimes like we don't see it, you know. So so super grateful for all these. Yeah,
it's so cool, man. Weeks. No, I mean, it's so cool because I think in EDM, like we really are taught that there's kind of only one way to do it. And that if you're touring on a big enough level, it kind of just looks like one thing with slight variations. And I love hearing about that, man. I mean, was he playing old stuff? Was he playing new stuff? What was his show like?
He's playing it's just his music, and he's playing like everything. So he just dropped a record like a couple months ago called Action Adventure. So he plays a lot of stuff from that new record, but then he's playing stuff that he did in like, bro, in the 90s, you know, and like, and like he's just mixing everything, but he's also like mixing the visuals from all these different eras. So it's kind of like you go see his show, and it's like a documentary of like music throughout the years and throughout these decades, but also like music, like visual-wise, it's like you get connected to like different techniques that have been approached like in the cinematographer, you know, ways from like, you know, late 80s, early 90s that you like nowadays. So yeah, it's a great piece of art that he's presenting.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. He's really one of a kind, and I think so many people, probably a lot of people who are even listening to this or watching this, maybe if you came into the scene later, you're less aware of his work. But Shadow was like, and still is, influential to so many of like the biggest EDM artists that exist today. Like if you go back and see who they're talking about as their influences, I mean, it's all Shadow. Like it's just wild that to influence so hard a genre that then grows into something that isn't even really what you do anymore. Like I think about like that famous story of when he got kicked off the decks in Miami. You remember that? DJ Shadow?
No, I never heard about that.
Oh, dude, he was playing like, or maybe it was Vegas, although I think it was Miami, but he was playing like a bottle service club, and they just clearly didn't know like who they had booked.
Wow.
And so he was like doing a DJ Shadow set, and they came up to him and like more or less just cut him off and kicked him off the decks because it was, you know, for whatever reason, it wasn't poppy enough. Their people weren't buying enough bottles. Who knows? But like, yeah, this was maybe this was pre-pandemic, I think, but yeah, maybe like 6 years ago, something like that. And anyway, then of course the whole internet got mad because you can't do that to DJ Shadow. But
yeah, man, that's crazy. Yeah. I've had a situation like that one time too in China where like they cut my set like 30 minutes because it was like, Bottle Club 2, and they're like, oh, you're not playing too much commercial music. And actually I was playing like, you know, a lot of like trap edits of like Cardi B and Travis Scott, but they're like, oh no, it needs to be like even more commercial. Wow. And then they were like, oh yeah, like, can you leave the stage in 5 minutes? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then,
you're like, yes, I can.
But yeah, but it was cool, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's interesting though, because you've done a lot of stuff. You've worked in a lot of different genres and sounds over the course of your career. I mean, at this point, like, do you look at yourself and what you do as like solidly a part of any one scene, or is it more that you are kind of able to exist in a lot of them?
That's interesting. Like, I feel like sometimes sometimes I get very happy with the idea. Like sometimes I don't think about that much, but sometimes I'm like, whoa, I'm actually part of like so many different worlds, you know, and like that happens sometimes. Like when I'm in LA, sometimes I go to like a rave, but then I also go to like a hip hop show where it's like only Korean rappers performing, or like I go to like a studio session, like to just like do something more jazzy, or like, you know, like and sometimes like when I have like a bunch of experiences like that in different worlds in music, I just like stop for a second and I'm like, whoa, this is like so cool, you know? And I think like sometimes I'm, you know, I think being part of like a lot of different things is like, of course there's like a sense of like not being known for one thing, or like people can like get confused about like, oh, what's like really this like, you know, artist like about. But I think that's like really like what I always like gravitated towards music, you know. And even like a lot of the people that I grew up like when I got into music, a lot of the people that I was like very like inspired by, they were all people that were doing that. Because like I always like listen to a lot of different stuff. It's like when I started making beats, I was very into like just making like hip hop beats for my friends like in my hometown, or like then I started like just a lot of like experiences in electronic music. But I was just like fascinated about the idea of like doing as much different stuff as possible, you know, because I felt like that's just, you know, connected with life. That I think that's like the coolest thing. Is like when I just, for me, like that's the way like I like to live life, is to like just get as much as different experiences as possible, right? I think like if I was maybe like someone more, I just want to be here in this place like forever, I don't want to travel, blah 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 blah, then like maybe I would just like focus more on one thing. But I feel like I always been very transparent about like how music is like a reflection of just like my life and just like how I feel about things. So that became like very natural to me to just like do different stuff. And and that's also like what excites me a lot, to just like what's the thing I haven't done yet, you know. I feel like when I'm just like repeating stuff, I think that's when I just get kind of you know, like a little bit tired of doing something. So I'm always like looking for like that new feeling. To answer the question, I feel like I'm like part of like a lot of different worlds in a way, you know. And I think I'll be more I'll be more like my art is going to even like spread more, I think, in the future. So yeah, so I think it's gonna be interesting. Yeah.
I love that, man. I mean, what were you said earlier you were listening to a lot of different stuff when you were a kid. What was some of the early music you heard, whether it was like something your parents were playing or something you saw at a concert? What was some of the early stuff that like really got you excited about music, where like the neurons really started firing?
Man, I say this a lot, but I think like the first thing was definitely like the Prodigy, you know? Like I was like 5, you know, like I got into Prodigy because of my older brother, who's also like an amazing DJ and producer called DJ Ride. And like he's like 10 years older than me. So when I was like 5, he was already 15 and he was already like buying records and stuff. And like sometimes like I would just like play in the house, like doing like, you know, just playing with my toys or something and like doing Legos. And like we had like just like a CD player. And my brother would just like I had all his CDs and I would just like love to like play the music and like just play, just do my stuff as a kid. And a lot of the records my brother had was like, the Prodigy, and like we had like Spice Girls, and we had like then just like music for kids, you know, just like stuff like, you know, like we had like some Portuguese bands, but like the Prodigy was like my favorite because I would like press play on track 1 and then like it would play 10, 14 songs and every song would be different. So it would just be so much fun to like play, like do my things, but I'm always listening to like the same CD, but it just keeps like changing the vibe like throughout the record, you know, and go from like something that is reggae, like Out of Space, to like something that is like more hardcore, like Firestarter, like something that's more techno or has like a little bit of rap, rave, trance, all those genres. So I think that was like, you know, back then I didn't know, but like looking back, man, that changed everything for me, you know, like being like very young and like being introduced to like the Prodigy, like just changed my life. And then I think like, I don't know, from like 6 to 10, I don't really have like that many memories music wise. I feel like by 9 or 10, that's like when I started like connecting more with music. And then that's back then my brother also had like a CD, like a Walkman. So like he would like borrow me his Walkman and I would get like a really big jacket because I was like the only jacket that I could put the Walkman on the pocket and on the pockets. And then I would just like listen to a lot of CDs from that my brother had like how do you say, like ripped? Is that what you say? Like when ripped, you like burnt? Yeah. So it's like by then my brother's like 20. So it's like my brother is already like 19, 20. My brother's like starting to DJ. So like he knows all these like crazy stuff. Like I started listening to Shadow because of my brother in a way, because like in one of those Rips CDs, like, you know, Organ Donor was there, and I was like, oh, what the fuck, you know. And then also by listening to Shadow's music back then, he was also like my first introduction to like the DJ, like the possibility of the DJ being the artist. Because back then, like I was listening to like bands or like you know, just like a rapper here and there. I also had like the 8 Mile CD. The 8 Mile soundtrack from Eminem. So like I used to like listen to that one like a lot, and you know that introduced me to a lot of like different rappers from like, you know, 50 Cent and Gangstar and Rakim and everything. So like by 9, 10, I'm just like listening to a lot of that stuff, and then like early like. And then like after that, I get introduced to like Black Eyed Peas. Like I used to like Black Eyed Peas a lot, and then like I was also listening to like Led Zeppelin a lot. That was like a really big thing. Just like had like the Mothership compilation record. Like I was just like listening to Mothership to that record a lot.
I mean, was it a thing with like your brother, or just in your household in general? Was it a house where like music was always playing from somewhere?
Yeah, like my family would play, like my parents would play music from time to time, but it's like it wouldn't be like very often, I think. Like we had a record player and like a vinyl player, and then we also had like a bunch of vinyl in the house. Like my parents had like a really, like they still have like a really cool like vinyl collection. Like the first time I heard about like what's like his name? He had like he was like one of the first guys to like make electronic music.
I mean
Jean-Michel.
Jean-Michel Jarre.
Yeah. So my parents have like a record from him that he made like in China or something. So it's like, I had like, I was just like getting connected with like all these artists and stuff. But the music, I don't think he would like play that much. Yeah, sometimes my mom would like clean the house and like she would play like, Vivaldi or like classical stuff, and then, but it would be more like the music listening experience would be more like me just with myself and like with the vinyl, with the CDs and just like, listen to stuff. But I was just like, listening to a lot of like rock stuff too, like Marilyn Manson. I got super heavy into his stuff. And then I started listening to like hip hop and like drum and bass when I was like 14, 15. And so it's been like that. It's been like very, like I was listening to a lot of different stuff.
I mean, it's just interesting that both you and your brother ended up, DJing like as a profession. Because I feel like that even in a family where like, siblings listen to a lot of music together, that kind of stuff, like it doesn't always end up that you end up following that passion all the way into a career. Like, I wonder where that comes from, like how both of you ended up doing it, Man,
I think it was just like the love for it. And like, it was just like us feeling like, this is like what we love to do. So like, there's no other way we're going to do something else, I think like both me and my brother, like we went to university and like my brother first, of course, and like he studied and then like he just like dropped out of university and he went just like to DJ full time. And I think, I felt the same thing as he did. I think when I was in university too, like I was studying sociology for like 3 years and then I was like, man, like it's not like what makes me happy. And I was like doing some shows, like making beats. So I was like, I'll just like, I don't know what I have to do, but to make music is what like needs to happen in my life. So, just going all in, and I think it's just that. Yeah, actually I never had really that conversation with my brother, but I think it's just that, like, we just felt like, man, like life's too short. Like we need to do what we love and that's it. Like if music, it's the answer, then it'll be the road. Yeah.
Yeah. Were your parents cool with it? Did they understand?
Yeah, like I think they understood easier when was my time.
Hey, right. They had already had to go through it once.
Yeah. My brother had like maybe like a more rough, situation for him. And, it was also like different time. Like this was like, I don't know, like early 2000s, like to have like your son being like, oh, I want to like, be a DJ and like follow music. And like, especially like in Portugal, like I think, my parents were just like kind of, as they have the right to be, like kind of scared about my brother's future, right? But then I think when it was like my time to do it, like my brother kind of helped a little bit too, and like it's just like, oh, like like I think he can do it. And also my parents had already seen that, like believing in my brother's dreams allow him to really have like a crazy career too. So I think it was easier. So yeah.
And this is your brother, just to contextualize this, like. This is the same DJ Ride that like put out records with like Vision and Noisia and all that, right? Yeah. I mean, he's a sick producer too. It's crazy you're both doing it, man.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah, it's wild. I think that's really rare. Like do you know any other like siblings in EDM? I guess Cruella are doing it, but that's like a different thing.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know they were. I mean, I think I know more about just like brothers in music in general, right? It's like I know A-Track and Dave are brothers.
Oh, right, A-Track and Dave. I forgot about them.
Yeah, Medley, Banahono. What else? I mean, I think I've seen. Yeah, I think like in like EDM, like specifically.
Oh, there's you know who else there is Ray Cola. They're like a younger up and coming house duo. I had them on here not too long ago. They're super, super awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
These coaches are brothers too, right?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. There's plenty. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No. But like it's definitely rare, I think. Yeah.
I wanted to talk about like childhood in Portugal too, because I've never been to Portugal. I really want to go, but like growing up there, like what was kind of the general flavor of your childhood? Like what kind of in musically, like what's the local scene like? What are the raves like? Like what kind of stuff were you getting turned on by there? Yeah.
It's crazy. Man, actually like growing up in Portugal, like sometimes I would be like, oh man, I wish I was in New York. Or like, like I would like watch all these like, because I was like really into skateboarding too. So like I would like watch all these like crazy skate videos or like all these like, movies like just about like being a teenager in the States. And I was like, oh man, why I didn't grow up in LA? Oh, why I didn't grow up in New York? But then like now looking back, it's like, man, I wouldn't really like trade like my like childhood for anything, and I'm like so blessed about so many things about it, man. And it's like I'm from a town in Portugal that is very, very unique. And like, it's very like, I think it's like, there can be some connections with it, but it's like me talking about my hometown, like there's no way my hometown can be a representation of like the whole Portugal because it's so unique and there's like so many factors for it, right? So
wait, what's the town? Like, what's the name of this town?
So my hometown it's called Caldas de Rainha. Yeah, and it's like it's like a town like 1 hour north of Lisbon, like closer to the west coast. So I'm like 10 minutes to the beach by car, and then like my hometown is like like 60,000 people, 70,000 people. So it's not like super populated. Also, it's like you can walk like the whole town in like 1 hour, and it's like my mom's family is from there, and like my father, he's from my father's family is from Azores, which is like this group of islands from Portugal in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And then my father moved to my hometown, and then my family was raised there. So it's like growing up there, it's just like, man, it's the most like peaceful place, it can be like too peaceful sometimes to the point that just can bother the people by like being there, and then it's very like, like small village kind of like mentality or community, like everyone knows each other, like everyone knows like someone's family. It's like you are connected with everyone by like, one person or two people. And so it's like growing up there, like it was just, man, so peaceful and like so nice. Like I would just go to the beach. Like, there's like a really beautiful park in my hometown, like where like I would go as a kid and like just play. It's also another like very important part about my hometown is we have like an arts university, and the arts university is just like, man, it's a crazy university. Like you have like music stuff there, but you also have like just like painting and like more experimental stuff, bro. But it's like everyone that goes there, it's just so like unique, like everyone just dresses in like the most unique way. It's very like in the best way possible. Like it's very like freaky in a way. Like even sometimes like you are in your town and like I'll be in my hometown and like me and my friends would see someone and be like, oh yeah, that freak is from Rezz, which is the name of the university, But it would be just like with no arm or anything. We just be like, oh, that person is like so weird and so artistic that they can only be from the university. And so like, man, there will be like always like crazy stuff. And then the thing is like, people would come and go and like leave the university every year. So like, they would always like leave their mark in the city. Like there would be like always like new people coming to the city, and like, in 1 year we have like all these like crazy graffitis in the city, but then the next year would be like totally different graffitis, and just kept like changing. Like the street art would just keep changing. So my hometown is kind of like a museum, like an open space museum, it's just like art everywhere. And I think, and then there's like a lot of bands, like there's a lot of scenes like musically as well. Like when I was like growing up, there was a really big like punk hardcore scene and like metal scene. There was also like a rock scene, but all these scenes is just like 100 people sometimes, so it's very like unique and and very supportive. And then, we also had like a hip hop scene. So just growing up there, like it was just amazing because I was just like, from a young age, just introduced like so many different types of art. And, so many amazing people. Like everyone in my hometown is like very like good person as well. It's like very hard sometimes for you to find someone that might be like an asshole or something. Like everyone is just like so nice and like just like so down to earth. And like there's also like a lot of farmers like around my hometown. So like there's like this market in my hometown that happens like every morning. And it's like one of the oldest like open air markets like in Europe. And like people just go there like every morning, just like sell their products, So there's like a lot of like older people in my hometown too. Like it's very like you just walk in the street and you see people like 80 years old, like late 70s, just like walking around, like selling their products, like just them like talking with the young kids. So it's like super nice, And yeah, so I think that's like a good idea of like how my hometown is. And
It sounds
yeah,
amazing.
growing up there was just a blessing, and then just like the nature part is like amazing, and yeah, and that's it. And it's just there and just like very peaceful. But I think as a teenager, I was always like looking for something like more like crazier.
Would you go to Lisbon to party?
So yeah, so regarding the raves, it's like I started like going to raves maybe when I was like late 16, and late 16 I think. And that was like my first rave was like my brother played like a local club that was like a very like important club in my hometown, and he played there and I went to see my brother, and that was kind of like my first time in a club basically. And then like I was like, oh man, I love like the nightlife. I love to like drink vodka with my friends and get drunk and like talk with just like random people and like just meet new people in the club and like listen to music. Like each DJ brings like something new. Like I was like really into it. So then I just got addicted to it. So like I was just going to a lot of I was going to like as much parties as possible. Like sometimes it'd be kind of hard because my parents would be very strict. Like they'd be like, oh, you need to be at the house like by midnight. Like you can't be out like after midnight. So like sometimes I couldn't go to raves because that's the thing. Like in Portugal, like you would go out and like you would just chill at the bar until like midnight, and then everything would start at like 1 a.m. like 1 a.m. until 6, and then like after 6 you would have like after parties and stuff. So it's like it's not like in the States it's like, oh, you can go to a rave but still be at like 11 p.m. like in your house. It's like, bro, in Portugal, like you get to the rave at like 1, and there might not be that many people there. So, and I love like all that stuff. So then back then also my brother was like doing this like local night in Lisbon where he was like bringing a lot of like different DJs and producers across the world to like play. The night was called Rocket, and that was also like my first time that a DJ was there. And he would like bring people like Lapalux and like Flying Lotus and like Mawa, like dubstep Mawa and like Swindo. Like he brought Uzi one time. But it was like very like influenced by like the whole like LA beat scene and like Willy Joy. So I would go to those parties a lot, and then I would just be like, oh man, like this music is just like I like it so much. It's also so weird and like so different from everything that I listen to. So that was like a really like big part. And then then I would just go to like then I grew up like I would just go to like other raves in my hometown. There's also like my university, like the university in my hometown also has like a night, like a weekend every year where they do like, like they do like a weekend to like celebrate university. So they do like a lot of parties like across the city, and I would just go to like a lot of raves, and like, just go back at home at like 10 a.m. or something. And I would have like the best time. And so and like and between these, it's like I'm going to a lot of like just punk hardcore shows as well, like in the afternoon that my friends are doing and stuff like that, and like seeing like other hip hop shows of like local rappers, or like going to Lisbon and see some hip hop shows with my brother. So like those teenage years was like a big like melting pot of like different cultures and styles being introduced to me. So
and when did you start? So when did you start producing?
So I started producing when I was like 18, like that summer. Yeah, the summer of when I was 18. Yeah.
Because I mean, was it the kind of thing? Because you've been making music for a long time now, and you've been so prolific. You've released like so much music across a lot of different genres. Was it always like that? Was it the kind of thing where like once you sort of got a taste of production, you were just doing it all the time?
Yeah, actually, like a year after I started making music, like I dropped my first record. That was like I mean, actually what happened was like I started making beats, and then like I realized that like the more beats I was making, like the better I was getting. So I was like, man, I'm just gonna make like a lot of beats and like just keep, because I want to just be as good as possible. So I was just like making a lot of beats, and then I was just send to my brother, and my brother would be like, oh man, like just like you're kind of spamming me, like make a SoundCloud and like just put these beats there, And I was like, oh, okay. And then I made the SoundCloud, like I started putting the beats there, and I was just like, putting beats like every couple of days. And then a year after, that's like when I did like my first EP. Like I brought some rappers from Portugal to feature the record and everything. And then I started like doing these beat tapes on SoundCloud too. Like, bro, I did like 100 and like 10 or like 120 like beat tapes or something, you know, like every tape had like, you know, 10 to like 20 beats. And I was just like making beats every day and like just doing those tapes, you know. Man, it's so crazy like talk about this stuff because sometimes like it feels like all that part, like you just forget sometimes about your past. But it's like
I was gonna say, I mean, can you even remember all the music you've made? Like you've put out so much stuff.
I think so, man. Yeah. Like I think I can hear something and be like, oh yeah, that's me, you know. And like and usually I'm kind of good at like telling like when I did the beat or like something like that. You know, like I might not be able to like say like every title of like every song, but like you know, I'm pretty happy about my memory, and I hope it keeps like this for like a lot of decades, you know. But but I have a good sense of that, yeah.
And I mean, are you? I actually don't know this, but did you at some point leave Portugal? And like, are you living in the U.S. now? Are you still based in Portugal?
Yeah, I'm mostly like in America nowadays. So like I started like touring when I was maybe like 21 or something, and then like I think 21 was the first time I went to the States, and then like 22 like I went back, like I got a visa, I started like doing tours there, and then by 23 I just like started like spending just like a big amount of the year there. So I guess I started like living there like 2018, 19, then 2020 went back to Portugal because of COVID, and then started like going back like end of 2021. And then then it's like last year I stayed there like 5 months, and then this year, like, you know, I've been in LA like the whole year basically, just like these last like 4 weeks. I've been away, but I'm mostly in the States nowadays. But after this tour, I don't know, man. After this tour, I'm enjoying so much being here that I'm like questioning like if I really need to be like in the same place, you know, because like I started like traveling a lot, and then I just realized that like being in the same place, like I don't know. I was like, I think my happiness is like in being in a lot of different places. That like, you know. But then like this year, I was like, oh no, man! Like this year, I need like to focus on my career, and I need like to push things further. And like LA is like the place where I feel like my music just like, and like just my career just like flows the better, you know. And also, like I signed with like 88 Rising, like a publishing deal, and like also like my management is there, so it's like a lot of people, like my whole team is there. So I was like, oh, I'll just like, I'll just be like in LA like the whole time. But then like I started like realizing like by before I left that it's like, man, I was just getting like, it's not like uninspired, but it's like things were just not flowing for me, like my ideas, you know. And I think it's because like I don't know. I don't want to like find a lot of reasons. I don't want to like try. I don't know. I mean, I think it's just like, I think for me, like the perfect scenario in my life is to like get like as many good things as possible from like the different places that like really fulfill my happiness. But I feel like when I start to spend a lot of time in those places, I get to reach like certain things that like might not be good to reach. So like if I change the vibe, I'll just like get inspired by like something else, right? So so I don't know. So like now I'm thinking about it. Like I've been thinking about it, and I think, you know, in the future, like definitely a big part of the year, I'll still be in LA or New York, but I think I'll just live a life where it's like different countries throughout the year. I think that'll be like what we're the best.
I was just talking to I was just talking to Saka about basically that exact same thing, because he's been in LA for a while, and he was like, I feel like it's about time to switch it up, and kind of for the same reason.
Where it's like, been there?
He's been there. I don't actually know how long he's been there, but I think it's been at least like, 3-4 years, something like that. And it's the same thing, man. It's like not because you don't like it, but it's just like, you feel like kind of, I don't know, you get in routines and ruts, and you gotta put yourself in like an uncomfortable place or a new place or a different, just a place where you got to kind of adapt to it again. I think that's really good for creativity.
Yeah, man, LA is like such an amazing city, and like I really love it so much, and like I feel very connected with it. But I think like, sometimes like the lifestyle that I have, like the lifestyle that I like to have is like sometimes it can be kind of like chaotic in a way. Like for example, here, like I walk so much here, like take public transportation stuff. Also, I don't drive. Maybe if I drove, it would be different.
Oh yeah,
but it's like it just feels amazing. Like I just love to like leave the house and just like walk, and just like walk and like see parks and like, and just walk and then like come back, and like, I just miss that like so much, and like, that just like changed so much in my day. And I don't know. And I think like another thing that I've been thinking as well, it's like music is like too much of an important thing for me to be talked about all the time, and I feel like, it's like a lot of my friends, like I have like amazing friends, but a lot of my friends like are connected with music in a way. So it's like every time we link, like it's hard to not talk about music. And I feel like that gets to the point sometimes where it's kind of like, bro, music is really my wife in a way. So it's like, I don't want to be talking about my wife all the time, like, and like, and maybe like, and even if I have a wife, it's like, I want her to like, to feel special and not be like, go talk to someone, like go hang out with my friends and like just talk about like my wife problems and then like go back to my wife. And it's like, it's just like that energy, and now like in these last couple weeks, like I haven't been, I've been just like hanging out with people and just like for the sake of like hanging out with them and just like talking about other subjects. And like the fact that I'm not talking much about music is really helping me like getting like ideas that I really like,
Yeah,
so,
dude, it's the best.
So it's that, yeah.
It's such a bummer. That's such an LA thing to like go out to dinner with somebody and you sit down and immediately they're like, "Oh, so what are you working on?" It's the biggest fucking bummer,
and
man.
Like, yeah, and everyone is like doing amazing things there too. So it's always like sometimes like I might do something that I love and like, or accomplish something that I like, but then it's like, oh, I go out and I see, just like someone's billboard or whatever, or and I'm like, oh shit, yeah, like I'm not doing this, like I'm not.
Well, yeah, there's that
not,
too.
Like,
there's that
producing
too.
for Scooby-Doo. Fuck, I'm not producing for Scooby-Doo. It's like, bro, So I think it's just that I feel like I need to protect my energy a little bit, and I think choosing different places to be throughout the year might be what helps me.
Yeah. Absolutely. More. I mean, when you first came out, like you were saying, you first went on tour around like age 21, something like that, started coming to the States. Was that when you did the Fool's Gold, like Goldie Awards, or did that come a little later?
Yeah, that was around the same time. That was like 2017. So like I started, like first time I went to the States was 2016, and then like my first tour was 2017 in May, and then the Goldie Awards was like September 2017. Yeah. And then I'm in 2018 again, but I lost. So we can talk about the 2017 one,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a cool thing, man, because I remember when you won that one and when you did it, and I think I had been aware of your music before, but then I think that was a moment where me and a lot of other people, became much more aware of what you were doing. And it's such a fun thing because the Goldie Awards, I mean, for people who don't know, was this like awards show that Fool's Gold Records put together that was, there was like one award for DJing and one award for beat making. And they kind of ran it like a real awards show. It was like kind of similar to like the Red Bull 3 style or something like that. And it's just such a unique thing. And for you being like, younger and doing it, I don't know. It just sounds like it must have been a blast to do it.
Yeah. No, it was a great time. Yeah. That night was amazing. Also, my brother came for that, so like that was like really special. Yeah, man, I was just like blessed like back then to like play my music like in person to to people that I look up to so much. Like Mini Fresh and Just Blaze and like A-Track, like Depot. I was just super stoked to like be there. Yeah, that was a really like great experience. Yeah.
Did it change anything like in the aftermath of that? Like, do you feel like more people really did start paying attention after that?
I don't know. I think like I think what helped a little bit was maybe put me like in a different light to like a lot of people. I think because back then I was very, just like this kid on SoundCloud, like dropping music every week, and like just making like a lot of collabs and stuff. And I think maybe a lot of people were just like, oh yeah, that's like all about this dude, right? But then like when that happened, like, I had messages like from people that like I look up to that, they were like, oh man, I thought you were just like about just being on the internet. Like this is dope that you are bringing like this to the real world and stuff. And like really doing something like, that's the thing. It's just like sometimes like we live so much on the internet that like when you do something in the real world, like really feels like special, you know, to like really go there and like play my beats, like receive the trophy in my hands, like shake the hands of each rep, like take like that stuff is really like, that's like really what stays in our memories, right? And not just be like, oh, my song on SoundCloud is doing this or is doing that, or I got this playlisting or whatever, you know, which is cool too. But you know, but I think like that moment was just very important to that. But I don't know like how much people, you know, because back then I was already like doing stuff like, you know, like I remember like when I did that, like 2 weeks after I was going to Australia for like a tour, and like I was already like doing shows. So I think kind of like helped a bit, was kind of like maybe like a release, like as much like maybe did as good as like a release, like a dope release coming out or something. But I think it was more like maybe the respect for like other people, you know, was different. But
I love
for me, like
that.
I was just interested. Yeah.
Well, I love that you said the human connection part, and that's what you remember, because of course that's true. I think another thing we're taught, and especially in 2024, everyone's just obsessed with the numbers, the streams, the likes. And that's what a lot of younger producers are trying to focus on, which I get, and it is important. But also, I like to put out there, it's like, that isn't what you're going to remember at the end of this. You're not going to remember when you finally got whatever streaming number you were trying to get. Like, that's just not it, man. But wait, I wanted to ask you before I get off on a tangent, what was like, if there was one thing, what was like the first thing or the first couple things that really felt like, okay, people are starting to pay attention, this is a bigger deal? Like, what was it that started it for you?
Man, I think like going to Australia the first time, like 2016, I think that was like the first, like, oh shit, like, you know, because also I always wanted to travel, like that was like what I wanted to do. And, you know, and to have someone like on the other side of the world, you know, and like getting like flying 30 hours to like go play to another culture that was, you know, receiving my music so well. Like that was like a really big thing for me, that I felt like, okay, like things are happening, you know. But to be honest, like I still feel like, I'm super like grateful for everything that happened, right? But like I still feel like I haven't achieved a moment. I still haven't achieved a moment that I'm like, oh man, like things are really like I think I've been doing a lot of cool stuff, you know, and I've been like learning a lot, and like and I think if I haven't like achieved like a crazy level yet, it's because like then that's like the plan that the universe has for me. But like I still feel like I'm just like how do you say when like the flower is like blooming, right? I still feel like I'm still like just opening my petals. But yeah, but I think back then, like definitely the Australia thing was big, like the Goldie Awards thing. I think, you know, having like people like playing my records, like I remember back then, like, you know, like Bass Nectar, like playing my stuff was like really big for me. And then like, even like way before that, like when I made a SoundCloud, I posted just a beat, and like I had like a rapper from like America, like rapping on the beat. Like even that stuff for me was like, oh shit, like this can happen. Like someone from another culture from another country can just like jump on my stuff, and the power of internet and everything. So, you know, all those moments are like very important, you know. And just my first show in Lisbon too. Yeah. So
well, I mean, how did you get into, because, you know, you mentioned like the rapper from America. And I mean, at this point, you've worked with a lot of big names in the rap world too. How did that start?
I mean, for me, that has always like been there from the beginning. Like I was always very like, you know, I think hip hop, you know, is one of like the most beautiful things that I got introduced in my life. So like I always felt like I wanted to pay respect to hip hop and like help hip hop in a way that could, you know, balance how much hip hop has like helped in my life, you know, because like even just the way like I act, like I see life, like everything really comes from the hip hop values. So when I started making beats, I just want to like produce for my favorite rappers, like in Portugal. So I started by producing for my favorite rappers in my hometown, and then like sending beats for like people like from different parts of Portugal. And then I just like started like sending beats around to like other, you know, just through emails, like DMing people and stuff. And then, that has always been there, you know? Yeah.
Well, I mean, to talk about something more current, like what about somebody like Danny Brown, who, you know, you produced like a big record for him recently. How'd you end up getting linked up with him?
Bro, I just really just DM him on IG, you know, and I just kept DMing him, like I just spam him actually, you know, and I was just like, man, how can I send you beats as I still spam a lot of people? So I was just like, one day he replied and he gave me an email, and I was like, I just kept sending emails nonstop, sending beats nonstop, and like he used one for like this mixtape that he did for his collective Bruiser Brigade back in 2021, 2022. And then like one of those beats he used for Quaranta. And it was just that. And then I got to meet him like a couple months ago, and we've been in touch, and it's amazing because, man, he represents like so much to me too. So yeah.
Well, it's funny. I was going back through some of your older songs, getting ready to talk to you, and I was like going through my DJ crates, and I found an older one that you made with Screwed, the Only Thing. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
From like 2015, which samples Danny Brown, or at least I think it's Danny Brown you're sampling. And I was like,
oh shit, yeah, that's true.
Which is just like a funny full circle thing that, like, because I think that's from like 2015, and then like almost 10 years later, you're actually working with the guy you sampled for this tune. It's just crazy.
Yeah, damn! I gotta sample Kendrick more, man.
Yeah, maybe that's the secret. But you just everyone you sample, then 10 years later you work with them.
Yeah.
Well, you're also very good at collaborating with people, man. I mean, you've worked with so many different people, but I wonder what you've learned about collaboration over the years too. Because I feel like, I mean, you've worked with so many different kinds of artists, so many personalities, made really interesting music. Like, I don't know, from like Danny Brown to Bauer to Machine Drum to, you know, a million others. Like, is collaborating something you had to learn to get good at? Is it something that just naturally made sense to you?
Yeah, like for me, kind of started as like a way to, like when I started like doing my first collabs, I was just like very stoked about the fact that like, oh, whoa, I can like, you know, do something and like someone else expands my idea, or like I can like bring something new to like someone's art. And I always felt like that was like very powerful to like, because I always been like about like making like the dopest idea like possible. Like that has always been like, you know, my goal when I produce, like that's always on the back of my mind. Like what's like the coolest thing I can do. And I felt like collaborating was like a great way to just like make cool stuff and like to just like try new stuff and like, and then also another thing, like then it became also a way because I like, you know, even though like I have my brother, like, and I might have only like other two friends that I could talk about music in Portugal. It's like I really didn't have like anyone, you know, and so like I just wanted to know more about like different scenes and like different cultures and like just how people like, you know, and also I got all the stuff I was like listening to. It's like my friends are like listen to music, they don't listen to it. So I wanted to just feel more, maybe I think I use collab as like collaborating as like a way to feel like less lonely in that sense. So I just started like going with it. Yeah. And I did a lot of collabs like that. Yeah. And then like collaborating just became a part of like who I am. Like I kind of just see it as like a conversation, you know, just like me, like being able to like bring something like a topic to someone and like someone saying if they agree or don't agree. And then, you know, from there, like you can just like reach new ideas and like reach new points. And I always like love that. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes total sense. I actually, it's kind of beautiful, like saying that in a way it made you less lonely. Like that's actually a really beautiful way to look at it. And I'm realizing too, as we're talking, another person I should have brought up because it's current is Rezz, and working with her and like the Angel in the Rave EP that you put out on her label. How did you and she link up?
Like we kind of like did some shows together back in 2018. I think like we were part of like, I mean, we're still part of like the same management company, and like I was part of like the support crew that was like doing the shows with her when she dropped her record around that time. And then last year I was just like, I was just thinking how much I'd love to work with her. So like I just like sent her some ideas, and then she really liked one, which is the one that ended up being Dysphoria. And then like we just like work on it, and and then I kept sending her more ideas, and then she was like, oh, let's just like make an EP with these records. And then that's how like enjoying the Rave like came about. Yeah. But yeah.
No, it's cool, man. Yeah, because I think a lot of people wouldn't have necessarily thought to put your sound and her sound together. I think that's, for a lot of people, was probably kind of unexpected. So it's cool.
Man, for me, they match so well, you know. But it's also like one part of the whole world matches so well with her stuff, you know. But yeah.
Well, that's a cool way to look at collaboration too, is that you can kind of explore different aspects of yourself, right? Like a certain side of you that somebody brings out. It's the same as like having a relationship, a friendship with someone. Like different people bring out different parts of you. And I think that's a cool way to look at it too. And I like that whole EP, man. I liked that song Musical Touch on there. I really liked that. That was like, for me,
nice.
An interesting, like, because there's elements of like neuro stuff and interesting sound design, but then it's sort of underpinned with like UKG rhythms. It's just like an interesting combination of stuff I hadn't heard put together quite that way before. I really thought that was good, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, sure. Dude. I mean, when you're making stuff in general, because I think of you as a guy who's always making stuff, are you able to tell like, okay, these songs kind of belong together? Do you work with like a project in mind? Or is it just like you're always working and then you kind of look back later and see like, oh, these kind of fit together?
Man, actually, it's all over the place when it comes to that. Like, I just really just approach music just like as therapy, you know? Like, I just like make beats for the sake of like me feeling good, and like, and using beats as like a way to journal. But then I reach a point where it's like, oh, I really like all these, you know, and you know, or sometimes if someone is like looking for, you know, something like releases or like ask me for stuff, I just go back to my folders and like just send beats. But I think like I started lately, I've been being more thoughtful a little bit more about like, oh, like maybe like, you know, think about a concept and like how does this like translate into music and stuff. Cause like I feel like I've been like getting to a point where like there's like so much more in my world that like I'm not telling through the music, you know, and there's like so much more about myself that I feel like the world doesn't know. So like I've been trying to visualize like what these things are and like making the music that can like tell like that story. So now I'm like using different approaches to that actually, but like I still just make beats just like, man, I just want to have fun and like chop some samples and make something that makes me vibe. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you were saying like you would make beats as therapy or like as a way to journal. Is it kind of like a meditative thing? Like, do you feel like when you're working, making beats,
sure.
like, is your brain solving other problems in the background, you know, working through other shit?
Yeah, most likely. Yeah. Yeah, man, just feels good. Like I'm just, it's like, I just love it. Yeah. So yeah, I just use music to like connect with that frequency and that energy. Yeah.
How do you avoid burning out and like overdoing it? Because I think when you do something so much and it's also like your job and it's how you pay your rent and all that, like it can, the wires can kind of get crossed, you know, it can get a little confusing. Like, how do you avoid burning out on it? How do you stay like excited and engaged for what you're doing?
Like there's a lot of ways. Like I feel like lately I've been like I started to implement more as actually like taking days off. Like, you know, every couple of weeks, like take one day off or something like that. But I think what has been helping me a lot is just, I don't know, like I always had like this like self-belief that it's like, man, as long as like I do what I love, and like as long as I connect with like this frequency, it's like the universe will take care of me. Like even it's like 1,000 or 100K or 1,000,000, it's like somehow like things will work for me, and like I'll be okay, you know. Like I just gotta like do like what I love. So that has been always like one thing that I always really thought about, and I always believed in a way, because it has always been like that in my life. Like I always just done me, and like just being myself, and I always been just rewarded like somehow from the world just because of that, you know. So I feel like that has always been like my energy, and so just like where things flow, that has been one thing. And then I think another thing is always to just like do a lot of different stuff. I think if I just like made the same type of beat, or like the same type of style or BPM or process, like yeah, that can become kind of like annoying. But you know, to make like, oh, I'm just gonna do hip hop beats for today, but tomorrow I'm gonna do some house stuff. Like the next day I'll just like experiment with something else. Like I do a session with this person in this world, and then a session with that person in the other world. Like I think that helps me a lot. So I think variety and like diversity in the way like I approach the process, it's like another big thing. And I think that's it. Like I think, you know, things get kind of stagnant in a way when like you just don't let things flow, you know. So if I just let it flow, and like also just paying attention to my body, like how I feel, you know, like maybe there's like a lot of stuff that I avoid doing because I know like I'm not like gonna feel well doing it. So like I just avoid them. Like, you know, I think if I said yes to a lot of things that I don't want to do, then I would like get easier burnout. But it's also just like embrace change. I think that's like another thing, because like for a while I was always thinking like, oh man, I need to work every day. I can't take this off. Like, you know, I need blah, 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 blah. But I just realized I just kept having the same self-belief, and it's not sustainable after, you know, a couple of years. So it's just like be open to change as well, you know. So
yeah.
That's been what's been working for me.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's a lot. There's a lot in there. I mean, the first part of what you said of sort of just like trusting that as long as you're doing what you should be doing, and you know, working on the things you love, like the way you were talking about it, it's almost like a religious thing. You know what I mean? In terms of just like, it's like having faith, where it's like you don't know necessarily what's going to come out of this, but you trust that if you're doing the thing that you know you love, that, you know, you're going to get something out of it. Like, this is maybe reaching, but like, did you grow up religious? Is there any background for that kind of thinking?
Yeah, man. Like my household was definitely very Christian, you know, and I'm into like, man, actually, I don't know how you say. Man, actually, let me see on Google, like, how do you translate like this word? Because like even the other day I was like trying to, like, I only know in English. Oh, catechism. Does this make sense?
Oh, the catechism.
Like,
catechism. Yeah.
Catechism. Okay. Yeah. So like I used to go to catechism like in growing up. So like once a week I would go, and I did that for like maybe like 10 years. And you know, so it's true that's like, when you do 1 year, like you can like start doing like as you go, you start doing different stuff in church. And yeah, and like my grandma was like super religious, and like my other grandma that's still alive, like she's like still super religious. And you know, my parents like yeah, we all like have some faith. You know, I think as I grow, like I find that you know, I think God maybe is like something not so external as we think, you know, might be. Or I think it's something like more internal, and like we all like have like a piece of God. Like, and I think like we all just like using like different terms to, like every religion just like talking about like the same thing, but like with different terms, you know. But then it's like so many things get lost in translation. But you know, I've been like getting more into like, you know, Buddhism, and like just like studying a little bit more about that, and just and I think that's it. I think like maybe, you know, growing up with our religious side of me like introduced me to like just faith in a way. But I've been just trying to understand like what's like really that faith, and like what's like, you know, my truth in a sense. So I think then like the music, and you know, and now the education I received from my family, like all these things I just bring to what I do. And
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a beautiful idea. I don't know if this is exactly what you were saying, but what you just made me think of too is like maybe a way, rather than like sort of the traditional religious idea of God, that it's like actually if you can find a way to like become more yourself and like, you know, have more love for yourself, put your more pieces of yourself out into the world, that like that's sort of the point. Like that's kind of like the godly thing, you know what I mean? And I think you can apply that idea to creativity and what you were talking about too, in terms of like your newer stuff where you're trying to like more fully represent different pieces of yourself, and you know, all of that. Like all of that is a spiritual act. There's no question, you know?
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's interesting.
Man, even my name is very religious actually. Like I chose Holly because that was like an old nickname I had from my last name, Oliveira. So people used to call me Oli, Oli, and then like when I had to choose a name, like I wanted to like, you know, put my nickname together with the feeling I have from music, which is like I always saw music as like this holy thing, like Holy. So I put both together and I got Holly, you know. So like Holly has always been like it's already like the foundation of.
Oh
like
yeah, no, that's
stream of stuff.
Oh, that's crazy. You know? It's been there the whole time. I love that. Yeah. That's actually kind of beautiful. Well, man, another thing to get us out of the spiritual thing for a second, you know, when you were talking about the newer music you've been working on and trying to figure out like your perspective on it, telling a story with it, that sort of thing. What it made me want to ask you about was something I didn't even know you did. I just figured this out when I was doing some research, getting ready to talk to you. But did you soundtrack something for Blue Man Group at one point?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Like,
what is? I mean, that's crazy. What happened there? How did that even happen?
Man, they just reached out. Like they just reached out and they were like, "Oh, like you wanna?" Like they were, maybe 2018. Yeah, 2018. They were like working on a new show, and they just reached out to like, you know, help them with some just music pieces, you know, and just like sound design and stuff. So yeah, they just like sent me kind of like a brief of like, we like, this is the show, like these are the drivers of the show, so we want to, this is a message we want to pass, like just get inspired by it, man. And actually it was such like a cool like experience. Like I really, like they were super easy, like anything I would do they would just like appreciate and take it, like, you know, rarely would get any notes. And then like also, man, I went to their studio in New York, which was like crazy, which was like this building and was like different floors, and then like each floor is like just like dedicated to like something different for their creativity. So, you know, it would be someone like drumming the music instruments, but then like someone else downstairs like make the music instruments and like see how they work really. And man, just like a creative warehouse. Like it was, incredible. So yeah, super, that was cool. And then I got to see their show. They did like a premiere for the show in LA. And then I went there and I saw the show, and yeah, it was really cool. So it was me, it was another artist called Watik, and then the rest was just like the producer that did, and then like would come with like little pieces and stuff, and yeah. So that was tight, man. Yeah,
it's incredible. I mean, it's such
and that also and like just So just when it's like also like experiences like that just show me like, man, music is like so much more than just like what I'm doing. You know, it's like the possibilities are just like infinite. You know, it's like you can go for Boom and Group, you can go for like movies, you can go like, you know, to help people like heal from other things. It's just like it's unlimited, you know. So I think that's also kind of like to go back to the beginning of the conversation. It's like I never really, like I always been afraid of just like being in this like one box forever. So like I always like use like the different styles and like different worlds to just like let this energy flow, you know, and like and just experience as much as possible in this in the world of music and arts. So yeah.
Dude, I mean, is there like looking ahead now, you know, you mentioned that like you still feel like you're still flowering. There's still so much you want to do.
Yeah, man.
Do you have like anything specific in mind, either short term or long term, of like where you want to take it next?
Man, I really want Hollywood to be like really big, man. Like really, really big, and like to really do a lot of like big shows. And like, cause I just want to like do as like a big of a rave I can do, you know, like, cause I just love parties so much, and I love like to DJ so much, and like this feeling just keeps growing and growing. So it's like, so I just want to like, you know, and I feel like I haven't like really nailed that. Like, I feel like it's like I get things here and there, but it's like, I really want to nail just like I know like who I am, you know, but the world doesn't know who I am. But to transmit who I am to the world is like, that's like a whole other process. And like, I just want to nail more that communication and just make like amazing art, and like, you know, and just like test the limits of like what this energy can be like. And then, so that's like on the artist stuff. But also, yeah, on like the producer side, man, I just want to be involved in like, you know, my favorite records of like every year, you know, like I want to be involved in the next Kendrick Drake beef, you know, I want to be involved in like the next, like just like the next, like, you know, like make stuff with Alchemist, like make stuff with like other producers that I look up to, like, you know, just like do stuff with Jay-Z, like just also just like test the limits of like how far can I go in like, in just the hip hop world, and like give back to the community. And yeah, but there's also so many other things. Like I want to do, you know, more like starting doing like documentaries like about music and like different cultures, and like journal like how other, you know, places live music and like the impact of music in their culture. And yeah, there's just like a lot of stuff I want to do, you know, but it's like there's all these pieces of like this puzzle that I'm just like, yeah, putting together. But I just want, yeah, just kind of like keep doing what I'm doing, but just keep like, pushing the levels. Yeah.
Hey,
you know, what's like the next thing on the Boomman Group world, you know, like, okay, produce for Boomman, but like, what's the next level? Or even, I don't know, like, yeah, me and Bauer, like, we had like a song that played on Batman, and like, we went to watch the movie, and that just brought like, for example, like another door for me that was like, okay, like, what's like another thing in the movie world that we can do? Like, what's like, you know, so I just want to keep, yeah, just pushing and learning, and like, just enjoying the ride. Yeah.
Man, I love it. I mean, it's one thing I'm taking from this whole conversation is just like, it seems like you have a lot of gratitude for getting to be involved in so many different things that you were already a fan of. And that, I think, is like the most, for any artists who are listening to this, like that, there's so much in that as long as you can just be psyched that you get to be involved with all this shit that you already liked. I mean, that's what it is at the end of the day. That's for sure what still drives me, and I think a lot of other people. But I think it's also easy to forget that like that's sort of the point of it, is to be like, holy shit, look at what I get to do, when, you know, there's all these other business considerations in the way. But yeah, man, I think focusing on that, it's a smart way to stay inspired and stoked. And it seems like you got this shit figured out, man, as far as like what matters.
Oh man, yeah. But sometimes like, I still, you know, as everyone, like I still question like regarding certain things, you know. It's like, man, I don't know. It's like sometimes I really think like I haven't, I mean, and it's not like to sound grateful or whatever. It's just like, man, sometimes like I just wake up and it's like, bro, yeah, I haven't done anything, you know, like I have like that feeling a lot, like that feeling of like, man, I haven't like even started, you know. But then like, yeah, actually like having conversations like these and like going back to like things that happened 10 years ago and stuff like that, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, like, you know, I did this, I went here, like I met that person, like my music like made people feel this way, and that made me feel like, yeah, like I've done a lot of stuff actually, but you know, but I'm just, yeah, I just have like this feeling like every day that it's like, man, like I'm not like there's just so much like to do, you know, and yeah. It's crazy, but at the same time, like I don't know if I will ever feel like, oh yeah, it's done. You know, like I'm gonna smoke a joint. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know if I ever like feel that way. Like, oh yeah, like today, close the laptop. Yeah, I'm not. No, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever have like that peace in a way.
Yeah. Well, because you don't want to get comfortable in a way. It's weird because you do want to get to a happy place, right? Where it's like you're stoked about what you're doing and you don't feel like shitty about yourself, but you don't necessarily want to get comfortable where you just like, just like, and just let it all go. Cause then you can kind of lose track of like what the whole point is. It's tough, man. It's like it's a hard balance to keep up. Because you don't, I think a lot of people think you need to feel shitty and stressed out all the time to like be productive. And I don't think that's true at all. But
no, I don't think that. Yeah. I don't think that's the truth. Yeah, man. I mean, I feel like when I did stuff that like it really did really good was all like things that like I felt really good in the process too, or like felt like really stoked about I just felt that. And I think, paying attention to like our emotions, it's like our emotions are really like the map. I like really like the North Star, sometimes, so like the way you feel is really the North Star for like all of stuff, but we just tend to just ignore that because that's a little bit what we were kind of told about it, right? It's like, only pay attention to your mind and like, in your thoughts, but it's like, no, like how you feel is like so important, and sometimes like the mind and the body is just like so separated on that sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, man, maybe as a way to like wrap this up or start wrapping it up, like when you look back at all the work you've done up to this point, what sticks out to you as far as like either something you really remember fondly or something that really makes you happy to think about? It doesn't have to be necessarily like the biggest project or like the craziest story. But like if you look back, like what really is like meaningful to you? What pops up?
Man, actually, like what's really meaningful is like the places I've been and like the people I've met in like places that like that are so different from like our reality. Like for example, I remember like going to Myanmar in like 2018 and like play like 2 shows, and then like I had like a kid that was like taking care of me in Mandalay. In Mandalay, and like he was so nice and like so kind and like such a sweetheart, and he would just like tell me about like all the political issues that like Myanmar would have, and like all the things that like like the army had like a lot of they not always have like the best approach in Myanmar. So like he would just like tell me about all that stuff. Then he would tell me how he works to get money for his family and stuff. And he would be like, oh yeah, I help like the artists here. And then like the money I receive from the art, from the people that work with the artists, like I just like give to my family. Bro, on that day, like I had like a couple of dollars with me, and like I remember he just dropped me at the airport. And I was like, yo man, like here's some cash. Today, like you keep this cash for you. You don't need to give to your family. Like just use it for you. And he was like, oh no, man, I can't like accept money from the artist. I was like, okay, bro, this money is just gonna stay here on the floor. Like you don't need like if you don't want it. And then he kept it, but it's just like, man, I just think about like stuff like that. Just like I don't know, like I went to Egypt as well, and like that was more like start working on this documentary that I'm like starting to with my friend. Like we didn't play a show or anything, but like I met this girl there, and like she was like I hang out with her and like her boyfriend. Like she was just like telling me like how hard it is to be like a woman in Egypt, and like how she can travel and like everything, and like man, just like moments like that just make me grateful. Like all these moments from like all these travels just make me really grateful, and just like go back to the source of like what it really means like to be a human, because it's like, bro, yeah, I can win like the beat battles, and I can like get like my music played, and I can like get all these things, and I can like work with people that I grew up listening to, which is also like another thing that I love. But man, it's like when you do something, like when music makes you do something that you just stop for a second, and it's like, oh shit, like this is what it really means to be just like a human being, like just in this planet, like not even the artist or like, because then it's also like when we are the artists, like we all create like these personas and like, these like concepts of ourselves. But it's just like, bro, just me as like Miguel, like hanging out with these human beings and understanding that it's like, oh, life is so different here than like where I come from. Like those are the things that really stick with me, and that like when I stop and I look back, like that's like, it's like that, and it's like playing a show and like seeing people losing their mind to like something that you play, and like the joy that happens as well. It's just that it's like those little moments, and it's like those little moments that stay, and not the moments where I'm like, I need to do an Instagram post today. Let's go. Like, it's just so, so like about like, like those just like, just those interactions, you know, and just like, even, I think like in a couple of years, like I'm going to look back to this time of my life and just think about like, you know, like the conversations I had with DJ Shadow, like on the van, just like going from place to place and like just look into his eyes and like see how much love he has like for specific times in the culture and in music, you know. Those are like those human stuff, like those, bro, it's really the real life stuff that like I'm the most grateful, like that, you know. But it's funny because all that stuff sometimes happens through like an internet medium, right? But it's like, when it hits the real life stuff like that, it's like, man, it's the most magical feeling. Yeah.
Well, and you're right. Of course, those human moments and like exploring the world and seeing new things, like, of course, those are the most meaningful. But I think it's also significant that how you got there was through, you know, sort of following, like, again, to tie it back to something we were talking about earlier, was like to follow your passion for what you were doing and to sort of trust that it would take you places as long as you really like poured yourself into that passion. And then this is the result, which is like, you couldn't have predicted that, but these beautiful moments came about through you just sort of doing something you thought was cool at the time, you know? Like, I think it's just a crazy ripple effect that I think is kind of cool to think about.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I just gotta make cool stuff.
Yeah. Just got to make cool stuff. I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up, man. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'll let you get out of here. It's great to talk to you, dude.
Thank you, bro. Likewise. And bro, all the best with everything. And we see each other soon.
Absolutely, man. All the best to you too. Take care, dude.
Thanks, bro. Likewise.
Right.
Peace.
Peace.
Bye-bye.